Welcome to the Parenting Lab podcast. I'm your parent coach, Brittany, and I am here to guide you into the calm, clarity, and connection you're looking for as you transform your parenting from the inside out. Let's get started.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Parenting Lab. Before we dig into today's episode, I want to ask for your help. Wherever you are listening, would you take just a minute and first make sure that you're following me? So hit that follow button. And then I would really love it if you'd leave me a quick review. So hit that 5-star rating or share a review with an episode that's maybe had an impact on you. By doing those two things, you will always know, first of all, when new episodes are available, that you will also help to spread the word to other parents who might be looking for help and support on their journey as well. So thank you so much for being here and showing your support. It really does mean so much. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the issue at hand. Why you're bad at self-care and how you can fix it. Now, before you roll your eyes or shut this off, I want you to know that I don't mean bad in a shamey, finger-pointing sort of way. I mean it in that gentle, honest, let's tell the truth about what's really happening kind of way. Because here's the thing. Most of us aren't actually practicing self-care. We're practicing something else. And that something else is what I call self-maintenance. Huh? That's usually how my clients respond when I bring this up. Huh? What? And if that's your response, I totally see you. And don't worry, I promise by the end of this, you will see this new perspective and hopefully have a few new ideas to think about. Okay? So here's what I mean. Self-maintenance is what we do to keep our bodies and our minds and our surroundings working smoothly. It's the haircuts, the doctor's appointments, the gym sessions, the meal prep, the laundry, the journaling habit, the consistent bedtime. These things are all so important. They keep us from burning out. They help us function. And yes, they can feel really good. They're the things we put on our calendars or set reminders for, okay? And because they can be scheduled, measured, checked off, they give us that little dopamine hit of accomplishment, right? You can say, oh, okay, I worked out today, check. I got a massage, check. I meal prepped, check. But here's the catch. Just because it feels good doesn't mean it's self-care. Sometimes it's just maintenance. It's the basic tasks of looking how we want to look, eating what we want to eat, and feeling rested, stable, and secure. Personally, I lump a lot of things into this category that are often labeled as self-care. I saw a reel on Instagram the other day of a mom who honestly looked really tired, but she was walking out of her room and the words on the screen said, got a full 8 hours because #self-care, right? So first of all, good for her for getting a full night's sleep. That's not nothing, but that's also not self-care. That is self-maintenance. All right, sleep is a basic need. You always feel better after a good night's sleep. And that is how you know that it's self-maintenance, because it works every time. You always feel better after you take a shower. You always feel pretty when you get your hair done. You always feel good when you eat healthy meals or go out for a walk. Okay, self-maintenance is predictively positive and consistently rewarding. So, what do I mean by self-care then? Now, self-care is different. Self-care is life-affirming. And by that, I mean it doesn't just help you function, it actually helps you come alive. It's not about crossing something off your list. It's about reconnecting with yourself in a way that feels nourishing and restorative and very deeply human. So sometimes it looks like stillness. Sometimes it looks like wild laughter. Sometimes it looks like saying no to something you might normally say yes to. And sometimes it just looks like letting yourself cry. Self-care is rarely a one-size-fits-all, and it's almost never something you can put neatly on the calendar for like every Tuesday at 7 p.m. because what brings you back to life today might not be the same thing that you need tomorrow. So I'm going to give you an example. Sometimes for me, self-care looks like taking a drive in my car. I love driving, especially at night on the freeway or up a winding canyon that's near my house. Sometimes when I drive, I like to have my music up really loud, like feel the bass in my chest kind of loud. I drive fast and I sing and my body is moving. It's spellbinding and I love it. It brings me back to life. And when I get home, I feel energized and connected and just really, really happy in kind of a childlike, playful sort of way. Now, there are other times I get in the car and my mood is something a little bit different. I drive in silence. I have time to think and ponder about what's going on in my life. Sometimes I cry or I just sit in my difficult emotions. Sometimes it's just peaceful and I roll the windows down and focus on what's outside the car. I drive slower and I kind of sink into the seat a little bit. And guess what? It brings me back to life. And that's what makes it self-care, because loud music doesn't work every time. Driving in silence doesn't work every time. It depends on my needs in the moment, my feelings in the moment, and my ability to intuitively know what I need, not just in my body, but in my soul, to really come back to life in that moment. Okay, so let's really look at this. Let's look at a hot bath, all right? That is maintenance. It almost always works. You feel more relaxed, your muscles loosen, you sleep better. But laying on the floor and letting yourself sob for 20 minutes because your body is holding grief that you've been pushing down, now that is self-care. It doesn't go on your to-do list. You don't plan for it. But afterwards, you feel more alive, more honest, more connected to you and what you need in that moment. Okay, so here's another one. Getting 8 hours of sleep. Okay, just like that mom in the reel. Maintenance. But letting yourself sleep in, breaking your routine, waking up slowly with sunlight streaming through your blinds because your body is just begging for rest and a slow start. Now that might be self-care. You see the difference? Now here's where I want to pause and talk about something that we have all seen. And it's those self-care lists that get shared all over social media. I know you know the ones. It's like 20 ways to practice self-care this weekend. And there's things like get a massage, book a babysitter, and go out, buy yourself flowers, go to the spa, take a weekend trip. And listen, none of those things are bad. They are absolutely beautiful, but they're also prohibitive for a lot of us. Massages are expensive. Babysitters are expensive. Taking a weekend away is not always an option when you're juggling kids and work and bills. So what happens? You scroll through these lists and instead of feeling inspired, you feel inadequate. You start believing that self-care is out of reach for you, that it requires money and time and resources that you just don't have. But here's the truth. Real self-care doesn't cost anything. Sometimes it's as simple as stepping outside bare feet to feel the ground, breathing deeply or singing in the car, letting yourself take a nap, or even choosing to ignore the phone when you just don't have the bandwidth to talk to whoever is on the other end. So I have a very close friend who really struggles with this dilemma of self-care and self-maintenance. She would be the very first to admit that she's not really super diligent about either, but she's learning. So a couple of years ago for her birthday, I took her on a little journey to explore what self-care and self-maintenance might look like for her. We ate great food, we went to a sound bath, we visited an art museum, and I shared with her a few things that helped me take care of myself, just to give her a few ideas of what that might look like. So that was pretty napkins for her dinner table, a fancy water bottle filled all the way to the top with ice, a great smelling candle, and a really fantastic playlist on the radio. It was a little mashup of some of my favorite ways to maintain my body and nourish my soul. Okay, so those were just a few of my things, but I encouraged her to find what works for her. And you guys, it doesn't have to be complicated. Self-care for me very much looks like a pretty napkin next to a paper plate for dinner, if I feel like I need that in the moment. But do I use nice napkins every day? No, I don't. So the point is, don't let curated Instagram graphics convince you that you're failing at self-care. Your soul does not need a spa day. It needs attention. All right, now, let me change it up again and give you the flip side to this. Because some of you that are listening are actually really great at self-care. You follow your intuition. You take time to rest when you need it. You create and you play and you nourish your spirit. But you are neglecting the maintenance, and that's a problem too. Because maintenance is the scaffolding that holds your life together. It's what makes care even possible. So if you're not eating well, you're not sleeping enough, you're not paying your bills, you're not scheduling that doctor's appointment, you can practice all the intuitive care in the world, but your body and your mind will eventually crash. Self-maintenance and self-care are meant to work together. The one keeps you functioning, and the other brings you alive. If you neglect either one, you will feel the consequences. Now, why do we confuse them? Okay, let's talk about that. Part of it is cultural. We live in a society that thrives on productivity, on metrics, on things we can measure and post about on social media. It's easier to talk about getting a massage or hitting the gym than it is to say, actually, I just kind of sat in silence and asked myself what I need right now. The other reason is that for a lot of us, it feels safer. Maintenance is predictable. It works every time. Self-care is more vulnerable. It's going to ask you to tune in and trust yourself, to notice what your actual needs are in real time, and that can feel uncomfortable. But here's the problem. If you only do maintenance, you'll stay functional, but you won't feel alive. And if you only do self-care, you will feel alive, but eventually your lack of structure is going to catch up to you. And so the sweet spot is holding them both, right? So how do you know if you're bad at self-care or if you're just stuck in one lane? So here are some signs. If you're over-relying on maintenance, this is what that might look like. You're doing all the things. You're working out, you're eating right, you're journaling, you're scheduling time off, but you still feel tired or disconnected. You get restless when there's unstructured time. You feel guilty when you do something just because it feels good. Or maybe you notice your inner critic piping up when you try something unproductive like painting or dancing in your kitchen or laying in the grass. All right? So if you're over-relying on self-care and neglecting maintenance, there's signs of that too. That might look like feeling connected to yourself, but maybe your health is suffering, or your life feels chaotic or unstructured, or maybe you're burned out because you're not doing the practical things that give your body fuel and stability. Okay, so how do you fix it? This is where I give you some steps that you can follow to really connect and ground into self-care and self-maintenance. Okay, so here's step 1. Pause and ask. So instead of defaulting to your routine, just pause and ask yourself, what do I actually need right now? Not what worked last week, not what someone else posted about on Instagram. What do I need today, right here in this moment? So step 2 then is to experiment. Self-care is often really surprising. Maybe what you need is a walk in the woods. Maybe it's calling a friend. Maybe it's turning on music and letting yourself dance. Maybe it's just quiet. The key is trying something and noticing how your body feels afterwards. Did this bring me back to life, or did it just help me maintain the status quo? All right, the third step is to balance the two. So if you're leaning towards maintenance, add in one intuitive, soul-nourishing practice each week. If you lean towards self-care by neglecting the basics, just commit to one foundational habit that can keep you functioning. Okay? And then finally, I want you to release the guilt. And for some of us, this is the hardest one because real self-care will almost always feel unproductive. It won't fit neatly into your planner. It might look like play or rest or creativity. It might even look like doing nothing. And that will make your inner critic very, very loud. But self-care isn't about productivity. Again, it's about coming back to life. It's about restoring your essence, your authenticity, and your connection to yourself. So here's what I want you to do with this. I want you to notice when you're doing maintenance and when you're doing care. All right, so try naming it in real time. Okay, this workout is maintenance. Or wow, that walk I just took, that was actually more like care. The more you practice naming the difference, the easier it's going to be to lean into your true self and build the scaffolding of self-maintenance that supports it. Okay, so let me circle back to the title, Why You're Bad at Self-Care. You are not bad at it because you don't know how to do it. It's just that the culture that we live in hasn't taught us the difference. You have been told that productivity and checklists and maintenance are enough. But what you're really, really craving, the thing that makes you come alive, is actual self-care. My hope is that this week and every week, you'll give yourself permission to stop just maintaining and start truly caring, because not only do you need it, you deserve it. Thank you so much for being here and for following along and sharing your reviews. It really does help to spread this message of healing and growth. I hope you'll join me again next week as we continue to explore the art and science of parenting and put your parenting to the test. Take care, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Parenting Lab podcast. For our complete catalog of online courses, free resources, or to join our mailing list, please visit theparentinglab.org. See you next time.